Hello and welcome to another episode of A Weekly Waypoint. Today we are playing Call of Duty 22 or something, Black Ops 6. I'm playing this on my Series S, so it might look prettier on other consoles or on PC, but for ease of convenience, I'm playing it on my handy little console box. Black Ops 6 came out on Game Pass a few days ago, and I honestly had no real intentions of checking it out, but I had some free time, and I saw the ad for it, and I went, I've liked Black Ops in the past, so I guess now's the time to get into my history with Call of Duty. I'm typically more of a Halo guy myself. I prefer sci-fi shooters over, military shooters. When it comes to my personal tastes of, fiction across any media, I'm more like sci-fi fantasy. I don't really love, realistic military shooter or, army-based stories, that kind of thing. But yeah, I did own Call of Duty Black Ops 1 on the PS3, and I did spend a decent amount of time playing a multiplayer in that game. I think Call of Duty multiplayer, I've said this before, Call of Duty multiplayer is almost always a good time. It's very tightly designed, it's well made, and there's nothing quite like it, but it's been very rare that I've actually gotten into a Call of Duty multiplayer game. I tried the Modern Warfare remake when that hit PlayStation Plus once upon a time, and I did not like that at all. I did get into Call of Duty World War II on PS4 when that was on PS Plus for a bit, and I did try a little bit of, I'm assuming it's last year's Modern Warfare 3 when that hit Game Pass recently, and I don't know, man, it was good multiplayer, but it just didn't vibe with me. I'm now thinking maybe it's the Modern Warfare games that just don't sit with me, because I guess when you think about it, Modern Warfare is very much you're part of the American military, you're fighting terrorists, it's crazy, and then Black Ops is kind of like a spy thriller, which I can kind of get behind a little bit more. As far as I'm aware, you're still part of the American military or whatever, but there's that, and then World War II is more historical. So as far as and I guess it sounds like I'm talking about campaigns. I played a bit of a World War II campaign, I played a little bit of the Modern Warfare remake campaign. I do intend to check out the Black Ops 6 campaign at some point. I've heard good things. But yeah, I have very mixed feelings regarding Call of Duty. In other words, Game Pass is exactly the right price for me when it comes to this game. Oh, I should mention my performance in these games. So, I had played 3 multiplayer games before these ones, and the first one was meh. But the next 2, I kicked ass in, and I was like, oh wow, that's great, I'm actually good at Call of Duty, I'm gonna kick ass. And then I turned on the recording and it wasn't so great. So they're okay games, I think, but they're not the best I've ever performed. Once again, the YouTuber's curse strikes. You hit the record button and your gameplay goes to shit. It must be some kind of subconscious mental thing, or just bad luck. I don't think I played abysmally enough for me to throw this entire set of matches in the bin and record new ones, but also be aware that this is my first time on these maps, although I think it's probably everyone's first time on these maps. I didn't love this first map. The way it's structured is very weird, with long lanes, it feels like. In fact, it feels like a few of the maps are like this. They feel like they've been made long ways instead of I don't know, the way they used to be made. I do find it funny that Black Ops, which is usually set in the recent past, is now getting to the point where it's the recent past is almost where the first Call of Duty game was actually developed and made. I wonder if you'll ever pick up a Call of Duty game where you get to see Call of Duty 1 on the frickin' shelves in a store or something. I'm still a little bit flummoxed that Game Pass hasn't just dumped the entirety of the Call of Duty catalogue onto Game Pass, as well as a whole bunch of the other Activision stuff. I think it's been too long now, because they said, it'll take us a little bit longer to get these games onto Game Pass. That was so long ago now that I think they're very clearly just holding a bunch back to try and get people to buy them instead of put them on Game Pass. It seems like Xbox's entire stance on Game Pass seems to have changed in the last year or so. It almost feels like they're starting to regret it a little bit. I don't know if it's maybe performing how they would like it to perform. The fact that Black Ops 6 still launched on Game Pass, kind of says they haven't completely lost faith in it, but I don't know. I feel like if they had acquired Activision a little bit earlier, we would have had far more Activision games on the Game Pass catalog. And yes, I'm still annoyed about it. I would like to go through and play through every Call of Duty campaign from the earliest to the latest. I would doubtless lose steam on that almost immediately, but I would like to try. I think it's a little bit ridiculous that this is the 6th game in a series and we have no way of, as Game Pass consumers, we have no way of playing previous campaigns in the series. Cold War might be on here, but I don't think it is, and that's the previous one. Maybe their campaigns are set up as like standalone stories, and I'm just like reading too much into this, but it's a numbered title, so I'm assuming there's gonna be story things and characters that I'm, you know, not familiar with. All the same, maybe there's just like a sentiment of nobody plays the campaigns for the story, it's just for the levels and the gameplay. I don't know. Kind of sad if that is the case though, even if it's not my genre. But I am speculating wildly, so I don't know. Anyone who plays a lot more Call of Duty than I do, feel free to let me know some additional information down in the comments. Does the campaign require previous knowledge, or is it not a problem? Me and my friends might just co-op through the story without paying attention to it anyway. But yeah, truth be told, I don't have a lot to say about Call of Duty. It's Call of Duty. It's a shooter, Call of Duty shooter man, and I'm definitely doing it. It's fun. But it's not my favorite game of all time. So let's pivot topics here and talk about Comic-Con. I went to a local Comic-Con. It seems to be convention season. I'm seeing a lot of people talking about them, like MCM Comic-Con, all that kind of stuff. Well, I had one in my local city, and I bloomin' well went to it. And you know, it's not exactly the most sensational Comic-Con that's ever been put on. We don't have like revelations about new Star Wars projects or anything like that. It's basically a glorified secondhand market for like nerd stuff, but it's definitely a little bit better than what it's been in previous years. But yeah, they had some special guests. They had Colin Baker from Doctor Who, Sixth Doctor fame. They had Robert Llewellyn, I think is his name, from Red Dwarf. I don't really watch Red Dwarf. I do want to. I know who he is. I have seen a few episodes, but I wasn't really there for him. I wasn't that starstruck, I'm afraid. They apparently had the voice of K9 there, but I didn't see or hear anything about that. There was a giant Pikachu, apparently. I didn't see or hear anything about that either, but I think I must have missed one because someone else mentioned seeing one. Kind of wild that they got Pikachu for this, honestly. What I did like is they had a props company of some variety in there with a bunch of Star Wars droids, which look just like the real thing. Like, I'm sure it wasn't the real thing. Like, I'm sure the actual original R2-D2 would be a much harder get, but it was damn near indistinguishable. They had a to scale R2-D2. I say to scale, that's not what I think it means. They had a life-size R2-D2, and they had Chopper from Rebels, and my heart soared. I was so happy to see him. And yes, they moved around, and he went chop, chop, chop. He started like shooting his blaster at like an innocent kid at one point, which I thought was a little bit out of character. I mean, like, I know he can be a grumpy guy, but that's a little bit villainous, my guy. But yeah, I got to meet Colin Baker, the Sixth Doctor. I didn't like get a picture or an autograph or anything because his agency seems to charge for that kind of thing, which I don't know how like common or uncommon that is, but it just wasn't within my budget. But I did go up to his table and I said hello to him. I was lingering because I didn't want to interrupt him, but he looked up and he went, "Advance!" I cannot do that man's voice justice. Colin Baker has a fantastic voice, and it's even better in real life. But I have not got around to watching his era of Doctor Who yet, which I did confess. But I do listen to Into the TARDIS, which is a podcast in which he hosts and kind of presents Big Finish audio dramas for free for people to listen to. And I really enjoy him as a host on that, so I got to tell him about that, and he seemed pleased. That being said, I did call Into the TARDIS Tales from the TARDIS, which is different. Tales from the TARDIS is the show on BBC iPlayer, which kind of re-airs old Doctor Who episodes and kind of re-edits them, and it has a little bit of an intro with like the actors as they are now and that kind of a thing. So he might have been a little bit confused as to what I was trying to say, but I think he got a gist of it, hopefully. Very nice man. What was funny was later we were looking around, and I'll get to any purchases I acquired later, but you'll get a small hint of it here. Oh my god, I'm setting up a later part of a video, how exciting. But we were at a trading card stand, and Colin Baker just showed up. I didn't really catch what he bought or what he said. I think he might have just been giving someone change for like an earlier transaction, and he left again, and the people behind the stand were like, I think that was someone important. I was like, that was Colin Baker. And they were like, that was Colin Baker? So I don't know if the guy collects Pokemon trading cards or what. There was other stuff there as well. There were Lego sets. I could see him maybe building a Lego set, but hey, there's some Colin Baker lore for you Colin Baker enthusiasts out there. So I have now officially met a Doctor Who. I have met Six, or as he refers to himself, Old Sixy. 1 down, 14 to go. Well, I guess 16 to go. Well, like, hang on, they're not all still with us. I might need to get back to you on that one. Oh yeah, one of them played 2 different yeah, God, this is a confusing show. But yes, I mentioned purchases. As I've mentioned, I'm on a bit of a budget, so I didn't get anything too crazy. I got a very cute 3D printed Bulbasaur. Because if I'm going to go to a con, I want to spend money on something which I can't just find on eBay. And you might argue that a 3D printed thing isn't quite as cool or unique as a entirely handcrafted thing. But like I said, limited budget. He was £5. I'll put a picture of him on screen now. Look at him, he's all polygonal and shit. I love him so much. He looks like he came from a PlayStation 1 game. Something about the eyes as well. The little depths of the eyes are really cool. They had other 3D printed Pokemon there. There was an Eevee, which I really liked and almost picked up. There was a Gengar as well, which I really liked. There was a Totodile, and I love Totodile, and I don't have anything Totodile in my life, and I need something Totodile in my life. He's my damn avatar. But I didn't love the 3D printed Totodile. It kind of like lost some of the features, I felt like. But yeah, the other thing I got, which I've already got a video on the channel about, is I got 4 packs of Japanese Naruto trading cards because they were super cheap and I love Naruto. And I went, what the heck are these? And I've also been in the trading card mood lately. If you want to see what I got out of the packs, then you can go and head over to that video. It's only about 8 minutes long. But I'm really happy with what I got. Those cards are gorgeous. But yeah, it was a great time to go there. There was a ton of cosplayers there as well, which was really great to see. There was a Pyramid Head, which was just fantastic. I'm not even like a Silent Hill guy, but they were fantastic. Batman was there. I assume he was looking for Rachel because he looked like he was in the Christopher Nolan suit, as was Red Hood, Harley Quinn, Scarecrow, and there was another one. I also saw a Joker wandering around. There were a few doctors. It's kind of stuff you would expect, but I saw Ruby, by the way. Ruby from Ruby. And she had a really good scythe as well. Gun scythe. It was so good. The people in my local area have really stepped up their cosplay game lately because last time I went to one of these, which was probably about 5 or 6 years ago now, there were less of them and it wasn't quite so good. Oh, and I made a running joke of pointing to every anime girl I saw, like pictures and stuff, not people, going, it's Hatsune Miku! The goal was to eventually find Hatsune Miku and just be like, oh, I haven't seen that one. But yeah, it was a good time. Fun was had by all, and hopefully they continue doing them, and we'll go again. Mostly because I want more Naruto cards, and I don't know where I'm going to get them. I mean, I can probably buy them online, but that's no fun. It's more fun to find them in the wild and go, whoa, Japanese Naruto trading cards? I didn't know these existed, and then buy them and open them and go, wow, these look amazing. I tried looking up stuff about that card game, by the way. There's an English card game, and I think it's completely different, so that's all I could find. But enough of that. I hear you saying, Kritigri, you are not meant to go outside and have experiences in the real world. You're supposed to play video games and tell me all about them. So enough of that grass-touching bullshit. What the hell did you play this week? To which I say, my goodness, such an avid audience. Okay, fine, allow me to regale? That, I've only ever seen that word written down. Let me tell you what I played. So, just to jump back to Call of Duty real quick, I forgot to mention it at the time, but it fits in this segment pretty damn snugly. I have also played a little bit of zombies, and I'm not a big zombies guy. I'm not a big Call of Duty zombies guy. I'm not a big zombie guy in general. But I'll be damned if zombies in this game isn't really goddamn fun. I don't think I've really played zombies since Black Ops 1, where it was like you're in a little room and you gotta board up the windows, and then you can unlock a little bit of a bigger room, and then there's more windows you gotta try and board up to keep the zombies out. Well, zombies has kind of evolved since then. The maps are far more open, and as far as I could tell, you couldn't board off any of the areas that zombies could come through. It was more just about, you know, trying to stem the tides and stay on top of things as you run around and open new areas and upgrade your weapons and all that good stuff. And it might be the most fun I've had in a zombies mode. And I don't know how much staying power it's got. There's 2 maps and they're definitely made to be replayable, but I don't know how much replaying we're going to do of them. But me, Reese, and Molly wanted a break from Fortnite, so we decided to give it a go. And Reese specifically told me he's played a lot of zombies back in the day. And, sorry, that corpse was very funny. And yeah, we had a great time, except for the unexpected zombie spiders. And all I'm going to say is, if you have an arachnophobic in your group, there is an arachnophobia mode, which you're probably going to want to get them to toggle on before you play zombies with them. I'm not joking. It's bad. Apparently the arachnophobia mode turns everything into worms, so that's fun. But yeah, I'm personally not that affected by spiders and stuff, so I was fine, but I can see why people would be having a bad time with those models and those animations. You know, I think what I like about Call of Duty Black Ops 6's Zombies mode, and it's probably true of every Call of Duty Zombies mode in general, is that it's very intentionally arcadey. It doesn't take itself too seriously, whereas almost every other zombie game in existence is like, oh, the world is so bleak, it's an apocalypse, and you gotta survive, and it's gritty, man. Gritty, sorry, not gritty. I know I don't pronounce my T's correctly. Nobody's out here hitting the gritty in the zombie apocalypse that I'm aware of. But in Call of Duty Zombies, it's just, you know, they literally drop like double points and like insta-kill and stuff like that, and it's just intentionally quite arcadey, and I really enjoy that, actually. I'm sure this has been a thing in Call of Duty for like a decade now, but it's also really nice that you progress your profile as a whole throughout any mode you play. I mean, I'm assuming it's campaign too, but both multiplayer and zombies, you progress your gun levels and stuff like that, which is nice. I do still wish that there were more than like 2 maps. Like, every iteration of Zombies I know of has only had like 2 or 3, but then I assume it's because those maps are so richly detailed and there are so many different branching paths to take that there's only 2 of them. But I still kind of go, oh, but I am going to get bored of these pretty quickly. Maybe they'll add more in as part of their live service updates, although when it comes to Call of Duty game live service updates, I'm always very skeptical because those games are made to last a year and no longer. But fear not, it's not Call of Duty talk all the way down. I did play other video games. Why are there children screaming outside my window? Shouldn't you be in school? Oh, that's right, it's half term. I forgot. Get off my damn lawn! Now, this week I've been playing more RuneScape, and I've been playing more Forza Horizon 5. I haven't really touched Recruit Mode Fest yet, but I do intend to. But I'm running into a problem, and the problem is that it's Halloween, and all of the games I like have their live service updates out right now for like limited time cosmetics that I really want in all of these games. Usually Halloween flavored, but in World of Warcraft's case, they've just put out 11.0.5, which is their 20th anniversary update event thing. And World of Warcraft want quite a lot of time from you to get some really fucking good cosmetics, and that's very annoying. I'm hoping enough people will complain that they nerfed the amount of time needed, but they've basically remade the tier 2 sets from back in the day. And while I main a druid, and the druid one is not the best of those, there are some really fucking good tier 2 sets. Obviously the judgment set for paladins is iconic, and the new version of that looks amazing. But they've also done some like sets for like the classes that weren't around back then, and the Death Knight set looks fucking incredible, oh my god. But I did like hours worth of tasks and I got like around 20 tokens, and you need 60 for the first armor set, and it's like, okay, Blizzard, I get that this is around for a couple of months, but I do have other things to do with my time, you know. But also the new No Man's Sky expedition just dropped, and it's only around for like 2 weeks, and it's a spooky one, and I have dipped my toe in, and I do want to finish it because it gives you a spaceship. I'm always going to want to do expeditions that give you unique spaceships, because I did play the very first expedition, but I missed out on that golden spaceship, and I very much regret missing out on it. But this new one looks really cool, and there's some really interesting like lore stuff actually going on with like this for want of a better term, Lovecraftian being which appears to oppose like the Atlas and stuff like that. So I do intend to spend a decent chunk of time in No Man's Sky. Luckily for me, I have a week off this week. But all the same, between No Man's Sky, World of Warcraft, and RuneScape's Halloween event, I am feeling a little bit like these games just want my time for their live service ends to get my Halloween rewards, and I am missing the days of like the 2007 Halloween events where you would do like a half an hour long quest and get the cosmetic, and then you'd be done. In fact, this kind of leads quite well into another topic which I've been thinking about a lot this week, and that's that the biggest problem with the gaming industry right now, and you'll understand why I've been thinking about the gaming industry as a whole when you get to what I've been reading. But I think the biggest problem with it right now is the saturation point of like, there are so many games. There are an unsustainable amount of games. And many of those games are live service games, and they want you to spend your time in them. And this isn't anything new, this has been a problem for years now, but there are so many live service games that want you to be their only game. And so they employ FOMO mechanics. Even No Man's Sky, which is like widely beloved, it's employing FOMO mechanics with the expedition. They're not getting any monetary gain from it, so they're not exactly the most egregious ones. But in terms of like getting your time and getting your eyeballs and getting your fingers and thumbs on the controller, yeah, like even No Man's Sky is doing it. And there is an allure, like a gameplay allure to like a limited time event with cosmetics that you won't be able to get afterwards. I enjoy them because of that. But when there are so many games out there doing it, and I guess this is probably a me problem because I happen to rotate through so many live service games, and therefore like am susceptible to them calling me back with their limited time events. And when something like Halloween pops up and they all have these really cool spooky cosmetics that I want, it becomes a problem very quickly. But it also got me thinking about just gaming in general and how hard it is for a game to break through the noise. And again, I'm not really saying anything new here. This has been a problem for years, but it's really been apparent to me because I follow a brilliant channel called Good Vibes Gaming, and they just had a video which was a sponsored video, but nonetheless was a video revealing, or not revealing, but like showing some gameplay from an upcoming game called Romancing Saga 2 Revenge of the Seven, or something like that. And this game is made by the same people who remade Trials of Mana, which I'm currently playing through on and off on Game Pass. And this game looks incredible. It looks like a really fun turn-based RPG. It looks really nice. It just, everything about it, I see that, I go, that's a game I want to play, that's a game I would like. But then I think about it, and I think, am I going to get this game? Absolutely not. Why not? I don't have time for this game. There are so many other games right now which I really want to be playing. And the top comment on that video with a whole bunch of likes is, I'm sure this game is good, but there are so many other games that are asking for my time as well. And all I could think about is, you know, if this game had come out 10 years ago maybe, or maybe a bit longer than that, and you know, you can also like scale back the quality to be the quality you would expect of a game of that time. But if a game of that equal quality for its time had come out like 10 or more years ago, back when there was less competition for everyone's time, I think it would have been like one of the notable releases of that year. But because of the landscape we're in now, I think it's just gonna be buried, and I worry for the studio that made it, who poured their hearts and souls into this like full-on remake of like this old 16 or 32-bit game, I forget, but like this pixel art 2D game. And it's not gonna reach as much of an audience as I think it should for the quality that it clearly shows. And I don't know what the solution to this is, because, you know, ostensibly it's a good thing that so many amazing games like this are being made, but from a business standpoint, clearly not, because yeah, what I've been reading this week, I guess to get into it, is the Blizzard book by Jason Schreier, Play Nice, The Rise, Fall and Future of Blizzard Entertainment, and I have got an entire video about it if you want to go and watch that to have my full thoughts on the book. But since reading that book, I've been looking at video game companies through the lens of like all the things that this book taught me about how publishers and how executives, you know, what they want from gaming and what they consider a successful game. And you hear it all the time with like Square Enix releases a really beloved and highly successful game in terms of sales, and then they come out a year later and they're like, oh, that game underperformed, and everyone's like, what the fuck do you mean it underperformed? And by the way, this Romancing Saga 2 game is a Square Enix game. And I follow a podcast called Core, and one of the hosts on that has been talking for a while about how the AAA gaming bubble is kind of, you know, it's kind of like a bubble that's gonna burst at some point soon, it feels like. And I don't want to hop on this doom train or anything, but yeah, it doesn't help with like, it doesn't help with these good services like Game Pass as well, where I'm like, I'm playing through Trials of Mana right now and I'm really enjoying it, but at the same time there are like 5 other games calling to me, so I'm just not giving it the time of day like I should. Part of that is my ADHD, of course, but also part of it is just the way the gaming industry is right now with its myriad of releases any given day. And what's wild is I'm looking towards like the next couple of months when the Game of the Year conversations are going to start up, and like I'm looking at my own top 10 games blog post and I'm going, what am I even going to put in there? I've not played many games for long enough to really judge them that have come out this year. Or not even that have come out this year, because I don't do it that way, I just do it through games that I've played at all. Because I look at games like Trials of Mana and I go, I wish I could give you more time. But like at the same time, not only are all these live service game events happening that kind of demand my time, but I also want to see what's going on with Dragon Quest XI and Final Fantasy X. And those are old games, don't get me wrong, but they're games I picked up recently, and it just feels like there are a sea of video games, and I'm not going to get to most of the ones I'm interested in at this rate. Again, it's a problem of like, what is it? What's the phrase? It's an embarrassment of riches, and that's not always a good thing. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.